Howdy ho ho, my good humans. How the hell are you doing? This is Unnecessary Rambling. I'm Brandon Sylvia. I appreciate you for joining us here today to continue the backlog conversation. Loon hit me with this idea to go over and discuss a backlog challenge, if you will, where we will be attempting to knock about 10 games or so off of
Yeah,
our
it was 10.
backlog.
I just had to quickly count it. Yeah, 10 games.
So Loon came up with a really interesting list, and the list is like a bunch of different, and obviously all this stuff will be timestamped, so me even sitting here explaining it is probably a waste of time. But he came up with some really good tiers, a good system for how we're going to be selecting our backlog games. And yeah, dude, I'm really pumped to do this. How you feeling, Loon? Happy to have you back from your COVID stint.
Yeah,
Happy you're still with us, man.
back from the dead. Oh boy. Um, yeah, it's it's something that I've thought about for a long time with like the backlog stuff because you kind of get into that rut of sometimes when you look at your backlog, it's kind of difficult to be able to pick something out because it's so overwhelming that there's so many things. So if you get kind of creative with it, that can seriously narrow it down, and that's what each of these 10 points were try and not only narrow it down, but just force you to pick a little bit more interesting games and go out of your comfort zone a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Hope that was achieved.
Yeah, I definitely think it was. I so we'll go ahead and kick this bad boy off, and I'll let you open it up with the first category.
So an S tier game, and I found it. I think you're probably going to struggle maybe a little bit because I think you said a lot of your S tiers are done, so
Yeah.
you're going to have to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. For me, it's a weird thing because I've probably done as well a lot of my S tier stuff, but then for me in my head, new S tiers get created. Like the stuff that maybe was A then gets bumped up because there's nothing else at the moment. And so for me, the S tier I went with was Like a Dragon Nation. Like,
Damn.
want to go back to the older style of Yakuza combat because as much I love the turn-based stuff that they've done, it's really, really damn well crafted, but they're masters of that combat. So damn good.
Yeah, I have an interesting one for my S tier, and I'm gonna kind of let you choose. I have two, and if you don't want
Oh,
to allow me to have one, I'll take the other because I don't know how you feel about this. So for mine, like you said, I'm limited with my true S tier games, S tier backlog games, games that are like at the highest peak of prioritization on my backlog. So I went with a game that I have played but never finished. And I know we have that on here as well for a different thing, a different topic. But Resident Evil 5, I've played every other mainline Resident Evil game and finished, played and finished every mainline Resident Evil game, pretty much all of the side ones, your Code Veronicas, your Outbreaks, your Dead Aims, your Survivor. Like I've played pretty much everything except like Umbrella Corp and like the true bottom of the barrel. So Resident Evil 5, I've never finished. Would you allow that to be in this S tier? If not, I have another one, which would be Alan Wake 2.
I mean, it's subjective to yourself first and foremost as to what you think is obviously an S tier game. But for me, because I think before we begun doing videos and stuff, when you was talking about playing through like RE6 and stuff, finally, um, I actually really enjoyed Resident Evil 5. So have you never touched it at all? Or
No,
have you just
I've played it and never liked it. So
oh,
Resident
okay.
Evil 5 was the only Resident Evil game I never really enjoyed. But to be fair,
Wow.
I haven't went back to it in probably 10 years.
I think give it another shot because you ended up kind of enjoying RE6, right, in the end. Like
I
it's
always loved RE6. It was really weird. But here's the
mm,
thing, I played RE6 initially in co-op, and
yeah.
then I played it solo and still really enjoyed it. So I think I think Resident Evil 5 deserves another shot. Like I don't know if I've really given it a fair shake. So,
Are you planning on doing that solo or co-op?
solo.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I
I
played
know
it entirely in co-op, and it was a hell of a lot of fun.
I maybe I don't know. I mean, it would be fun to jump in on some couch co-op with RE5. The only thing for me with games that are longer than like 5-ish hours is like the commitment to
The
schedule
commitment, yeah,
3, 4, 5 days to,
yeah.
really knock something out. But I do know that from all accounts, RE5 is much better in co-op, so I might have to consider that.
Yeah, I had a ton of fun with it because I think I initially began it in solo and was like, eh. And then kind of that's how you kind of have to enjoy them two games, RE6 and RE5. It does feel like they are a lot better when experienced in co-op. Because man, that AI companion is whack.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So the next one that you had down here was best year in gaming. And so what we're doing is selecting a game from what we consider to be the best year in gaming.
Mhm.
Um, Loon, what do you have for I'm curious first, what do you think the best year in gaming is? And then we'll get into your selection.
Um, it it's really difficult to kind of like pinpoint what you consider the best because there's so many years of so many good stuff. But for me, I think what it ended up being was I was thinking back to the early years of stuff like beginning achievement hunting and stuff, and like that's good, but it never had a grip on me until this point. So, like this year is the year that it kind of like seriously sunk its teeth in me. The titles that were coming out, I was getting like it also helps that like that was the time when I was getting money and stuff to be able to buy my own purchases and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, it's 2015.
2015. I mean,
2015.
that's Bloodborne, Witcher
Yep.
3, Mad Max. Like yeah, there's some heavy hitters on that 2015 list for Fallout 4,
Phantom
um,
Pain. I still
Phantom Pain.
trumpet. It's a great game.
What a great year for third person action adventure games, open world
Yeah.
games. Wow.
Yeah. It was an absolute treat. I remember, I think as well, Phantom Pain was the very first game I ever pre-ordered.
Hmm.
Like that was an experience being able to play that at like midnight.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, and like trying to cram in like an hour or two because I had college in the morning. It's
Damn.
like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I need to be up at like 8. This is so damn good, but your intros are so long. Kojima, for Christ's sake.
I'm really curious what in 2015 you didn't play already.
It's kind of a cop out. I won't lie. I may need to have to choose something else if
Okay.
it's not allowed. But it's actually a remaster because I never played the original. I don't know what console it originally launched for, but it's a game that I've seen from afar. It looks really good, and I played like the opening 20 or so minutes of it on PlayStation, and then heard it was getting an Xbox port, and then held off, bought it, and then never went back to it, and it feels really bad. And that's Grim Fandango
Hmm.
remastered.
Okay, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think that originally came out in 1998. So regardless, like that's one of the greatest years ever. That's Parasite Eve, RE2, Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yeah.
So you're in the best year
And
in
that's
gaming
that's
territory
when I was
regardless.
created. That was the most important of 1998.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's a great pick, man.
So
Um,
yeah, a little bit of a cop out, obviously, because it was originally released back then. But for me, it really was 2015. So scouring through it, I absolutely emptied that year already. There was like hardly anything on there that I hadn't touched. Like you're talking Mad Max, like you said, everything that I've finished, all of that stuff, and it was like, man, Grim Fandango remastered. It's gotta be that.
nice, dude. So I'm gonna go 11 years back. We're gonna go to 2004
Oh
to
damn.
talk a little bit about. So I debated, like we said, 1998, 2004, 2001, uh, 2023. I think those are like, in my opinion, the best years in gaming ever. But 2004, dude, was ridiculous. 2004, you had GTA San Andreas, you had Half-Life 2, you had so many heavy hitters, but the one I'm gonna go with that I've never even booted up.
Ooh,
I've never touched this thing. Is Halo 2.
oh, that's a treat.
So here's the thing though, to be completely honest, fair, I played Halo 1 for about 3 hours and I thought it was
I'm right
dated.
there with you. No, I absolutely despise Halo 1. It's
Okay.
it's crazy. It's crazy because so many people had that as their first exposure, so that's why it's so important to them. But I waited so long. It was only until the Master Chief Collection came out, and I went through and like nailed each of them off. Before that, I'd only beat Halo 4 and Halo 5. So I was like a new generation of Halo fan.
Yeah.
And playing through Halo 1, it was so dated, as you said, and
Yeah.
so stiff and just I was like, man, that's rough. If this is gonna be like the next three games I have to do for this, because I am a sucker for I need to finish a series. If I
Yep.
start games, I need to knock the other ones off. But Halo 2 is so much better.
Okay, good.
So much
Good.
better.
Nice. Well, that gets me pumped, man, because I was when I selected this, I did it with a little bit of like oh, is
A
this the right?
wince.
Yeah. I was like, maybe I should because I thought about I thought about going with more recent stuff and just picking out like, okay, something from 2023 that 2023 had like 700 games come out that I wanted to play. It'd be easy to find something in that list. But I was like, let me really try this because I mean, people talk about Halo 2 as definitively one of the greatest games ever. The game that changed, which I'm not, diving into the online shit, but the game that really laid the groundwork for what online console gaming would become 20 years later. So yeah, I'm gonna give it the respect it deserves and hop into Halo 2. So we then move on, and I have these probably all out of order, so I
Yeah,
apologize
so if
for
you lead with them because it's gone from one to three for me. So when it like you take the lead.
so the next one I have down here is finish something you started recently but put down. So a game that you picked up in the last year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, and you
Yep.
just never got around to finishing it for one reason or another. And I'll kick it off with DMC, the Ninja Theory DMC.
Mm.
The slightly edgier, slightly more comedic angle
Never in
of
a million years when it lands on his head the mob.
dude, I I played it for about 2, 3 hours. And this is very recent. This is within the last couple months. And like you said, the wig, the mop wig gag, like it's so fun. The chicks in his camper, and it's just got such a different tone that I really was able to appreciate. And I think that they might have sacrificed some of the complexity of the Capcom games within the combat system, but making up for it in a big way with the over the top presentation, very, very narrative driven, super cinematic. Like it just has a different thing going for it. And I want to finish that. So DMC, the Ninja Theory title.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were upset because obviously Ninja Theory is a Western developer, and you get the kind of quirkiness when Japan kind of takes a crack at something, and then they landed the DMC title, and it was very different tonally, but it also had a lot of similarities. But it's a lot harder to kind of execute that as a Western developer.
Yeah. It
So
kind of feels like something Suda 51 would make. Like this, it
yeah,
it has a lot of Japanese spirit intact with the Ninja Theory one. So I feel like they were respectful while also trying to do their own thing. Like I vibed with it a good bit. I wanna finish that one.
no, it's a great game. A great game. I think it's heavily underrated.
What you
Uh,
got?
for for me, it is. I don't know how long ago I'd started this, but it's definitely recent, within the past like 3 years. Rage, the 360. Um, it's something that the last time I played for it, I think I got up to a point where I ran into like a bug and it wouldn't let me progress. So hopefully that doesn't happen again because that will kind of put the nail in the coffin. But again, it's kind of that thing where similar to Ninja Fury's DMC, Rage was id trying to do like a Fallout Borderlandsy kind of thing, and it didn't land well for a lot of people. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting game. It's a lot better than Rage 2 as well. Like Rage 2, for one, I'm shocked they even got a sequel, considering how badly received the original one was, really. Um, but yeah, I much preferred Rage 1. But
It's interesting that you bring that up because I just recently booted up Rage 2
mm,
and I was in love with that game up until I got to a point where you had to do like you had to take down like some random towers and you had to do like a bunch of shit that just felt very I don't know. It felt like side content that shouldn't have anything to do with a main narrative, like a main quest line. And I was just like, man, this
yeah,
feels like filler just to kind of pad out some time and I just bounced out of it.
I think that's kind of the whole game. Like its
Mm,
whole existence, like not to be rude, but it feels like filler and padding for them to put something out there that had enough behind it. Because the gunplay is really fun. The moment
yes.
to moment gameplay is fun. But
The driving is excellent.
yeah, the driving was really good. Um, but the story is just bad. Like it's really, really, really bad. And it's just like I said, it's kind of that thing where they put that out to stretch them until their next release, like get some money in the door
Right.
and just hope that it sells enough.
Because that was
It
id,
that
right?
that was it. Yep.
Yeah.
Because
That
everybody was like, "What the fuck is this?" It's like, "Where's Doom?"
well,
And they kind of do that a lot. They kind of just go left field, like what they did with Rage One. Like it was very strange because obviously they a lot of people feel they screwed up with Doom 3 and stuff,
oh yeah, going
trying
forward.
to modernize it and stuff like that. And then they did Rage, which for me is a step up, but it still was a lot of people, and they started really going downhill. And then they kind of kicked it back up with like Doom is incredible. These new Dooms are like the best first person shooters, hands down, for action. Crazy.
So you're locking in Rage 1 as your finish something recently. What did you have for your S tier game, by the way?
Like a Dragon Ishin.
Ishin, right. All right, cool. Just grabbing that. So can get the gameplay for it in a bit. Game of a movie or a TV show. So a game or yeah, game that was adapted from a movie or a TV show, some sort of movie tie-in, TV show
Mhm.
tie-in, or licensed title of that sort. That is what we're going to be picking from next. And I gotta do this one for the homie Mondane. I gotta go with the Transformers game. I got a copy of it. I don't even
Finally,
know. It's one of
finally
those.
getting around to it. He's gonna be so
Yeah.
happy.
I don't know what it is. I don't know the name of it, but it's why I know nothing about Transformers. I know it's one of the Activision
Hmm.
fucking Call of Duty not Treyarch, but High Moon. Is that
Yeah,
yeah. So that yeah. So I know it's one of those titles that people are because there's so many. They got damn Treyarch, they got Beanox, they got High Noon, they got Raven, they got all those teams working under the damn Call of
they
Duty.
made so many of them as well. That's the thing that's crazy. And then they've kind of dried up. We get these like turn-based Transformers games, but there's none of these like third-person action ones anymore.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Every one of those teams, the teams that used to make the cool Spider-Man games, Call of Duty Sweatshop. The teams that used
Yep.
to make the cool Tony Hawk games, Call of Duty Sweatshop. Wolverine Origins, Call of Duty Sweatshop. Like all of those cool license games, they all kind of blend together in my head, if I'm being honest, but they all were pretty damn cool and original in their own, sphere. But the Transformers games are one of the very few that I never played. So it's actually going to be kind of a cool history lesson as well because I played most of those other games. You know what I mean? I love tying games. It's something I'm really nostalgic for. I think there's
Mm,
a most of them don't really hold up that well. Most of them aren't incredible games, but then you do have something like that Wolverine, the Wolverine
yeah,
Origins
that it
game where
was
it's
better than the
fantastic.
movie. It wasn't
Yeah.
even fantastic. That was like an S tier game. The movie was atrocious, but
Yeah.
somehow the game was 10 out of 10. It was crazy.
So what are you going with for your game of a movie or TV show?
I mean, I should have probably done the same as you and gone with the Transformers because I actually
Yeah.
went and picked up a lot of the 360 titles before the store closure. But I don't even know if you know that these like had games, but the CSI games.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
There's
Yep.
about I think there's three CSI games and then one NCIS game. And I won't lie, I've not watched the show in probably 10 years, but like before that, I was absolutely hooked to like NCIS and stuff like that. It's a really good TV show.
S-
I don't know if it's still like rolling and stuff.
Supposedly the games are okay. Supposedly that and like 24, and there was a few like random games that just had decent
Yeah.
tie-ins for some reason.
Yeah, I wanted to, it was either that or Lost, but I've not
Mm,
seen Lost. So apparently you kind of have to watch the TV show because Lost like picks up in like the middle of it. And it is a TV show. I do want to eventually go back. So I kind of like pushed that to the side and I was like, okay, I'll do the CSI games. I doubt I'll go through and watch 55 seasons of NCIS. So I don't think I'm gonna get spoiled on it.
right. Shit, yeah. Good pick, man. And here's just to show Mondane out there. I did grab the copy. It's sitting here, physical collection. What is the War of Cybertron? War for Cybertron. So we got it. It's here. It'll get played. I'm gonna even leave it out. That way I don't forget to I gotta get to that soon.
That
I've
is
been
definitely one of the higher rated ones as well. I remember.
yeah, I could not tell you. I couldn't tell you a thing about
He's
any of
got good
those
taste.
games.
He's got good taste.
So now we're going to a decade old title. So we're picking something from 2014 or older to jump into for the first time to knock off the backlog. For me, I'm going Fear 2. This is a 2009
Ooh.
release. I played through Fear 1 last year, the year before, and just absolutely loved it. So yeah, Fear 2 has to come off the backlog. Not a lot I really need to add there. Good first person horror. I will be diving into it.
Yeah. I can't remember what year. I think it was 2 years ago. I did the whole series,
Oh,
including
nice.
the files thing, which they don't consider as canon and stuff. It unfortunately gets worse
Each
deeper in the
game.
series. I think Fear 2 was good. I don't think it was as good as Fear 1. The Fear 1 setting of it all being locked into like that building and stuff for the most part was really, really good.
Oh, so Fear 2 opens up a bit.
I think as the series goes on, they do open up and go to like different locations, especially Fear 3, you go through like cities and stuff.
I actually might be more down for that because I did like the one location, but I love seeing different shit throughout that was the
Mm.
one thing where Fear One, I was like, okay, this is starting to get a little bit samey. Like there definitely, some environments are starting to repeat themselves and stuff, but it does add some sense of tension because you're like, holy shit, I'm locked in this place with a bunch of these creepy ass monsters and
I would suggest doing because it has the trilogy has good, strong story from point to point, and you do kind of need that fill in of Fear 2 for Fear 3 and stuff. Um, so I think Fear 2 would be a good shout. They're
nice.
not long either,
And they're
none of them.
super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit,
Yeah.
yeah. So what you got for your decade old title?
I kind of struggled because I have a tendency to like go back and pick something up, so it kind of eliminates that from being in the decade old title thing. Because there were a few where I was like, I haven't played that in ages, and it's like, you popped an achievement like 4 years ago, you moron, and you never went back and finished it. God, you could have had that. So I don't think this is a very good game. But the first one on the PS2 was so good. Uh, and I'm just gonna give it a shot, and that's Shell Shock 2.
Okay.
So Shell Shock 1 was incredible. Did you ever play that?
Uh-uh.
Really, really, really intense for it being a PS2 game and stuff. I think it's set in like Vietnam and stuff. Obviously, iconic soundtracks that you can pull from that they use in every Vietnam War film and stuff. And it had a pretty good story for what it was. I don't know who made the games, but they were really good. And then I've heard that Shell Shock 2 was, eh, it kind of fell into that generic 360 shooter pile where there's just 500 of them games and it didn't really do anything special. So it kind of got buried underneath it. But I'll give it a go.
Nice. Next category that we have down here is GOTY nominee. So something that has been nominated for Game of the Year. Now, how did you want to do this? Because like before Keeley took over in 2013 or 2014, he had the Spike Video Game Awards that he ran for quite a while. So did you mean just from 2013 onward, or did you mean just like
I did write down from the Game Awards, but if you have something before that,
no, I don't. I did the
uh,
same thing. I just
like,
went with the Game Awards just to make sure. Um, so since I picked Resident Evil 5, I'm gonna go with Alan Wake 2. Just simple. Is that what you
same.
went with? Nice.
I was like, yeah, cool. It,
Uh,
it finally got a physical, so I'll give you my money, Remedy. It's as simple as that.
Hey, same exact scenario. I'll pick it up in October. Great
Yep,
Halloween game. We'll probably come back here and discuss it at some point in October. So that's a simple, quick one for both of us. Alan Wake
yep.
2.
And it obviously
Easy.
needs no explanation. Everybody knows. Everybody knows good old Alan Wake.
Yeah, I mean it does it genuinely looks incredible, man. Like I if I had to be totally objective with my subjective feelings on things, I would say in my weirdo list of S tier games, I think that's number one. I
Mm.
really do. I want to play that more than I want to play anything else. Like I'm dying to freaking play that
I,
when October gets around, whatever else I'm playing gets knocked off for that.
I think we fall in the similar boat of because a lot of people either love or hate Remedy's stuff. I absolutely love their live action stuff. I adore it. It sets them apart from everybody else. And I can't understand why people are so harsh on that direction and stuff. Like Alan Wake 1 had like light elements of that, but from like Quantum Break onward, it's been a pillar of how they tell their stories. And I loved Quantum Break. I loved Control. So I can't wait to see what they got cooked up.
And by all accounts, they're saying Alan Wake 2 is like the best implementation of that that's ever been done in the history of ever. So I
And I want to
cannot
see
wait.
that dance, man. I want to see that dance.
Yes, and I've avoided all spoilers of that shit. I don't want any context. I want to
Mhm.
go in completely blind. I saw Sam Lake doing his weird jig out there at the Game
Yep.
Awards, but that's all I know. I don't want to know nothing else.
Hmm.
So the next category that we have down here is childhood game that you never finished. And this one for me is actually a really, really I thought a lot about this. And I'm gonna go. This is because I had something else down, and then whenever you brought this up, or you brought something of this ilk up when we were chatting about it, I'm gonna lock in WWE All Stars. I I've played every other W.
Oh, it's because I said Legends of WrestleMania.
That's
That was
right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that triggered something in my head. I was like, that's a wrestling game, not Legends of WrestleMania. I've played the hell out of those as well, but I have never played through the All Stars like story mode that they have, which I believe is about. I think they take wrestlers from the past and put them up against modern wrestlers. I don't really know how. I don't. I've never played it.
Yeah,
I
I've seen it. It looks interesting. It's the one where they're smaller, isn't it?
they're like action figures.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's always
It's
interesting me. I want to check that out at some point.
it's kind of got like an NBA Jam but for
Mm.
wrestling. You know, I think they catch on fire, and so I've played the game, but I've never played the actual like mode, like the main mode. So it's one that I can't say I've ever really finished. I have played, but I've never finished it. So it's one of those ones I don't know if you really consider it a backlog game, but I do personally consider things on my backlog if it's something I want to play but haven't finished.
No, absolutely. If you haven't finished it, you haven't finished it. You
Yep.
know, a lot of these things that I've listed here, I've begun at some point. Like I said, like Rage, Grim Fandango, I technically started. Like a Dragon Ishin, I've started and never. But this is that we're doing this for that final push. This is it. This is
Yep.
the time to actually finish it.
And once again, that's the
Uh,
thing too about this is like if we run across a game that's dog shit, you know, one of these games here that we're like, fuck this, it gets kicked off the backlog. Like it's
mm,
at least that's how I look at it. Like I'm not if
mhm.
something's bad, then it's gone. So it's a good test to see what of these games really stands to the top whenever we're finished with them. But what did you pick for your childhood game that you never finished?
That'll be interesting. When this is all said and done, ranking.
Ranking them, yes.
Yeah, there you go. Man, we're
God,
always on that content grind.
content, content.
Um, that's kind of similar to you then, because you went from more of an arcadey thing, not serious at all. For me, it's gonna be Pure. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
seen that.
The
I think it was Disney published. I remember seeing it constantly bundled with Lego Batman over here. It did like the dual thing. But no, I love racing games. I remember loving that, but never getting very far into it because I think it was something that I borrowed off of a friend and ended up playing more of Lego Batman than I did Pure, and kind of regret that a little bit. 'Cause I remember Pure being really, really good. So yeah, for me at least
it's
Pure.
it's funny you bring that up. Literally last night I Googled racing games with a story and Cars came up, the old Disney Cars game.
Mm.
So I wonder if Pure has any kind of storyline to it or anything. Like if it does, let me because
Um,
I'm craving a racing game with a storyline.
I don't. The grid games. It has like cutscenes and stuff.
Oh, really?
The newer grid. What, what was the newest one? Grid Legends, I think it
Yep,
was.
yep, yep.
That's got like full motion video, like cutscenes in between the things, and it has the normal races, but it also does like little set pieces as well. They don't utilize it as much as they could have, but it does have like little things where it's like, yeah, your partner spun you out and stuff like that, catch up.
Oh, damn,
So
cool. I'll check that out because I think one of them was on Game Pass.
I think Grid Legends is, yeah.
Nice. So the next category that we have here is the short and the sweet. So this is for a game that's, you know, 5 hours or less, whatever. You kind of can pick your own short and sweet lane there. We're not trying to be strict in the
Five
description.
hours and 30 minutes? Absolutely not.
So for short and sweet, I went with Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. So I bought the remake earlier
Mhm.
this year, and I haven't gotten around to really playing it at all. So it was just kind of, you know, Joseph Harris, if I can throw a couple extra dollars his way for his next project to be weird and totally out there. So yeah, I really need to play Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Did you not play the original?
No.
Man. It was like a trio for me of like choice. That was one of them because I think it got given away for free on the 360 games with gold when it came out. That was something like that's seriously missing. That's what made the 360 so good is that they landed critically acclaimed titles like fairly quickly. So I think I've said this before. The reason Dark Souls really took off is because only a few months after its release, like 4 months or so, it got added to games with gold and it just blew up at
Hmm.
that point. So that was one of them that I was contemplating. The other was Little Nightmares
Nice. I love
because
those
I've
games.
never done that. And then I'm drawing a blank. There was like a walking sim one, and I struggle to enjoy walking sims so much.
Same.
So the only one I can say definitively that I've enjoyed is Firewatch. All the other ones I've always got bored. So I was like, I don't really want to waste it because, as you said, we can obviously toss them aside. This is something where I do want to try and get things ticked off. And I think the one that will most likely I would enjoy the most will be Little Nightmares. So that's
Nice.
what I've gone with.
So you're gonna the first one?
Yeah,
Nice. Cool. Yeah, the
I've
second
got
one is
both, but I've played neither.
I like the second one a little bit more. It gets a little bit more complex, but they're both incredible, incredible games. The next one that you had down here, this is one that I'll kind of let you lead off with the 10K achievement thing. If you can give a better description for that, the because I'm not as familiar with the site and all that. The
Um,
the true achievement.
it was just it was a fault of picking a title that hardly anybody's touched. So
Okay.
10,000 players registered on the site. Um, so they usually see that with like low end double A's and stuff like that that kind of really fall under the radar. So for me, I went with Sunless Skies, is what it's called. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I haven't.
Um, how would you explain it? You know how like you explore in Dredge? It's like that, but it's from like a bird's eye view. And they have two games. They have Sunless Skies and Sunless Seas, I think. One's set in space, one's on the ocean. Um, and you're just going around maneuvering like you do in Dredge with this boat, and you're just doing stuff
Oh
and just
wow.
existing in this world. You're going to all these different ports. There's like story and stuff. And not only did it hit the under 10K mark, I think only 120 people have played that game. So I was like, I've had
Wow.
this on my backlog because I've seen it and I love Lovecraft stuff. I was like, all right, this is the time to like give this a good shot because it looks a little rough, a little bit rough around the edges. I think they kind of smoothed it out with the sequel, but I want to give this a shot. It looks really intriguing.
So the one I went with is I had another one jotted down for the 10K, but the one I ended up going with was a game called Skeller Boy. And so the game I had jotted down, I went to the Microsoft the store and looked at new releases, and I saw this pop up under the new releases like a couple days ago. And I was like, oh shit. There's no way this has over 10. So I haven't looked it up to be 100% certain, but I can almost guarantee this has under 10,000 players. It's like a kind of 2D adventure game, horror adventure game. Kind of looks like Lone Survivor a little bit, and it's $10. It's like hell yeah. 10K for 10 bucks. A new title, a 2024 title. Absolutely. Let me check this out. I love a good, you know, I'm assuming more in the line of a Oxenfree or something like that. If it's a good short version of that, some good dialogue, some good atmosphere, and a little bit more of a charming atmosphere in that old school NES style fashion, shit, yeah. Skeller Boy.
I was trying to find it. I hate that they've removed the feature off the mobile app. It used to have the
Mm.
store on it, and they don't have anymore. Have to look at that after. That does sound interesting.
Yeah, man. It looked pretty damn good. And I just anytime I can slot a good horror game because I didn't have another horror game in this, well, Alan Wake 2, but you know, and Fear 2. What the hell am I talking about? I had a couple horror games in here, but but yeah. And Resident Evil 5. What the hell am I saying? The list is mostly nothing but damn horror games. But yeah, Skeller Boy, we're throwing it in the mix here. The next one that you had down was begin a series for the first time. So this was really tough for me because
Yeah, it was for me as well.
I've at least I'm like midway through
No,
multiple series right
okay,
now.
I'll throw you a little bit of a bone as long as you haven't finished. So if it's like, say, a trilogy and you've begun part one,
Nah, F that. We gotta go brand new. Did
I
you
don't even know if I could do that.
dude,
Oh,
because I struggled with this for a while going through like what the hell. And I'll tell you the one I came up with. We can adjust it a little bit, but the one I came up with was Sackboy. I've never played any of the Sackboy games ever in my life,
Oh,
and
really?
never not a single one of them. I've
Uh,
I've always thought they looked good. It's just one of those games that I've never gotten around to in my life. Um, So yeah, I'm gonna go with Sackboy because it's like with Gears of War, I'm on five. I'm playing through five right now. Fable, I'm on three. Dishonored, I'm on two. Silent Hill, I'm on four. Yakuza, I'm on. I played through zero and one, so I'm on Kiwami two. Dead Space, I'm on three. Like all of the big heavy hitter franchises, I'm midway through them. This is really really tough for me. You can go with something that you're midway through. Well, no, you gotta begin a series for the first
it
time
wasn't
was
midway through, it was like maybe the opening 2 hours. My original one was gonna be Kingdom Hearts.
oh that yeah, that's fine.
Um, but I've technically like I think I did the first world. I
Oh
might
well,
have even done the second world.
for the first game, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. If it's something that
Okay.
you're
I
yeah.
wasn't being like, yeah, I'm gonna start Kingdom Hearts 3 after doing all
Okay.
like three of the games. It was either gonna be that or I was thinking maybe the 360 Spider-Man games, because technically I
Ooh.
never touched none of them. Didn't touch a single one. I didn't touch any of the like when they were big, like the GameCube Spider-Man games, Spider-Man 2 and 3, never touched. The first Spider-Man game I touched was Insomniacs. And
Really?
I didn't even finish it.
Wow.
I've never been a fan of Spider-Man. The movies are fine. Like I'll sit and watch them and they're enjoyable. But like on a gameplay perspective, it always scratches at the back of my head. It's like I'd rather just be playing as Batman. If I'm gonna be playing like a superhero game, like just give me Batman.
I feel you. So you going with Kingdom or you going with Spider?
Oh, what do you reckon?
I
Do you
think
think them 360 games are good enough to give a shot?
but see, that's the thing. I would say Spider-Man 2 for the original Xbox is, but the 360 ones, I think you would have to go all the way to you would have to get to like Edge of Time and Web of Shadows, and you would have to get like right to the end of the 360 library. So like definitely not Spider-Man. The one I think the first game on the 360 for Spider-Man is Spider-Man 3, and that's one of the worst ones. So if you were wanting to begin there,
Yeah,
that
it
would
would be. Yeah,
that
it would
hell no,
be.
I'd go
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts.
I'll go Kingdom Hearts it is then. Because it is a series I've always wanted to love. It's just so hard to get into. It's so fucking convoluted and so difficult to like ingest what it's trying to get across to you. Even in the short period of time I was playing, I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. No, it's a weird. I've never dove into Kingdom Hearts. I don't really have a lot of interest in it, but I do have a lot of interest in people's opinion of it, if that makes sense. Like Kingdom Hearts is one of those franchises that I've heard people like just love this game into their 30s and shit, like
Yeah,
huge and people that I respect. I'm like and then I look at it, I'm like, how in the hell do you find this appealing? But then again, you know, it's one of those things where if that nostalgic grip if you played something when you were 8 9 years old 10 years old, sometimes the nostalgic the rose tinted glasses just never fade. I'm that same way with like the tank based Resident Evil games.
I think it also is a huge factor that because nostalgia is obviously a huge part of it. It's the nostalgia for whatever the Disney property is
Yeah,
that you attach to. Like for me, I don't know if the Jungle Book is in any of them. That's my favorite like animated film of all time, hands down. That original Jungle Book, it's so damn good. So if you have that in there powering it, and then you also because the other side is Final Fantasy and stuff, Square Enix, just
right.
madness, just constantly blending. So if you're like a Final Fantasy fan and a Disney fan, the
True,
match made in heaven. Like it must be so damn gripping.
true. So those are our 10 backlog games that we are going to try to get off of our list by this time next year. So by September 1st, 2024, we'll say That'll be the cutoff. And we'll come back here.
2025.
Yep, 2025.
I
September
was gonna say
1st.
if you can knock them out in 3 weeks, I'm impressed.
September 1st, 2025, we will come back here and we will go through this entire list and yeah, and then maybe we'll make a video ranking them as well, or maybe we'll do that all in one video. We'll figure it out. But those are our 10 games. Hit us in the comments down below with your 10 games. If you would like to follow our criteria, if you would like to set up your own, however you want to do it, but 10 games that you would like to get off your backlog by this time next year. Really be curious to hear from you all in the comments below with your lists.
Yeah, I think there could be some really interesting picks if they stick to the criteria and stuff. Like, obviously, not everybody uses true achievements, but you could
Right.
kind of tailor that to like,
Smaller game.
well, yeah, or having a look on like the PlayStation Store, and if it has like a low number of reviews and stuff like that,
Yeah,
would be a good way of gauging that. I'd be really interested, yeah, to hear what everybody picks.
definitely, man. So hit us in the comments down below with your lists, and we shall be back at you very soon with some more video game discussions. Stay tuned, lock in, subscribe, like, all that shit if you feel so inclined to do so. Appreciate you guys. See you soon. Goodbye.